They locked my own gate and told me I couldn't enter my property until I apologized to the HOA president. They thought they were protecting the neighborhood. What they were actually doing was building a case for me. I don't argue for a living. I design structural steel systems for municipal projects, libraries, parking decks, transit stations. My job is measurements, tolerances, load paths. If something stands, it's because the math was right. That's how I approach most things in life. 3 years ago, I bought a corner property inside a gated community. It wasn't flashy, clean lines, flat roof, concrete driveway wide enough for my truck and the fabrication trailer I keep for side projects. Everything permitted, everything documented. The first time Karen knocked, she didn't introduce herself as Karen. "I'm the HOA president," she said instead. Her tone was calm but rehearsed, like she'd practiced it in the mirror. She held a clipboard and wore the kind of tight smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "We've received concerns about commercial activity." "It's a personal workshop," I told her. "Fully permitted, no employees, no traffic." She nodded, but it wasn't agreement, it was calculation. "You understand we have to protect property values." That was the first time I heard that phrase. It wouldn't be the last. After that, the visits became predictable. Unannounced inspections disguised as friendly drop-ins, emails citing vague sections of community bylaws, printed violation notices slipped into my mailbox without signature. "Noise complaints," she said once, standing in my driveway while my welder cooled behind me. The metal still ticked from contraction. "It's 2:30 p.m., within permitted hours." She glanced at the garage interior like she was cataloging ammunition. "We'll need to verify that." Verify, inspect, protect. The language never accused, it implied. I requested everything in writing. She didn't like that. "You don't trust the board?" she asked one evening, arms folded, positioned deliberately between me and the sidewalk like a crossing guard. "I trust documentation," I said. That was the shift. Within a month, security guards, contracted by the HOA, started lingering near my property longer than necessary. They'd idle their golf cart outside my gate. Once, one of them photographed my driveway. I installed additional cameras after that, not because I felt threatened, because I felt observed. Every interaction went into a folder. HOA correspondence, my permits, county zoning confirmation, noise ordinance printouts. I wasn't fighting, I was archiving. Then she escalated. At the quarterly meeting, she announced that home-based industrial operations would be reviewed for community impact. I don't attend meetings. That night, I did. She didn't say my name. She didn't have to. "Some residents believe rules don't apply to them," she said, scanning the room. When I stood to speak, I didn't argue. I placed copies of my permits on the table. County approved, HOA approved at purchase, architectural compliance stamped and dated. She didn't touch them. "We'll need to conduct a formal compliance inspection," she said. "You already did, twice." Her smile tightened. After the meeting, one of the guards stopped me near the exit. "Mr. We've been instructed to monitor access to your property for violations." "On what grounds?" "HOA directive." That was the first warning sign. Monitoring access wasn't oversight, it was control. And control requires authority. Authority requires limits. Karen didn't believe in those. By the end of that week, I received an email stating that continued non-cooperation could result in restricted community access privileges. I read that line twice. Restricted access to my own home. That was no longer paperwork intimidation. That was movement towards something illegal. I didn't respond emotionally. I reviewed the bylaws again. Access rights were explicit. No suspension without documented violation and formal hearing. Neither existed. Pressure was building. Steel bends slowly. Then it fails all at once.
If you enjoy the video, please subscribe. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I returned from a site inspection around 10:15 a.m. The front gate to the community lifted, as usual. But when I reached my own driveway, 2 HOA security guards were standing in front of my private sliding gate, arms crossed, gate locked. "With instructions from the board," one of them said. "You're temporarily restricted pending compliance review." "I live here," I replied. "We were told not to open access until you resolve the matter with President Karen." "Resolve? What matter?" He hesitated. "An apology." That word hung in the air like smoke. For what? For hostility toward board authority. I studied their faces. They didn't look malicious, just uncertain. "Open the gate," I said evenly. "We can't." I glanced at my camera mounted above the entry column. The red indicator was on, audio recording active. "What section of the bylaws authorizes you to deny property access?" I asked. Silence. They shifted. "I'll wait," I said. Karen arrived 20 minutes later in her SUV. She stepped out slowly, sunglasses on, expression composed. "You've made this adversarial," she said. "A written apology to the board would resolve everything." "You're blocking ingress to my deeded property," I replied. "That's unlawful. We are enforcing community standards." "No," I said. "You're interfering with property rights." She laughed, small, dismissive. "Take it up legally if you feel that way." I nodded once. "I will." She thought it was posturing. It wasn't. I called my attorney from the truck. By 1 p.m., a formal demand letter was emailed to the HOA management company citing unlawful denial of access, interference with property use, and potential civil liability. By 3 p.m., the county sheriff's office had received a request for standby assistance. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I documented. The cameras captured everything. The locked gate, her statement demanding an apology, the guards acknowledging board instruction. The sheriff arrived at 4:12 p.m. Professional, neutral. After reviewing my deed and HOA bylaws, he spoke directly to Karen. "Ma'am, unless there's a court order, you can't block a homeowner from accessing their property." She tried to argue policy. He stopped her. "This is a civil liability issue. I suggest you unlock the gate." It opened, but she didn't back down. That night, she sent a community-wide email claiming I had attempted to intimidate HOA leadership using law enforcement. That email became Exhibit C. My attorney filed for injunctive relief 2 days later. We included video evidence with timestamps, bylaw excerpts, correspondence history, and witness statements from the guards. Karen responded by doubling down. At the next board meeting, she pushed for fines. Improperly noticed, improperly documented. Each move tightened the net. What she didn't realize was this: HOA boards carry fiduciary responsibility. Abuse of authority isn't just personal, it's legal exposure. By the time mediation was scheduled, 3 board members had quietly requested independent counsel. The management company distanced itself in writing. Karen was no longer in control of the situation. She was in documentation, and documentation doesn't forget.
The special HOA meeting was standing room only. Word travels fast when access to someone's home gets blocked. I sat near the front with a binder and a laptop. No speeches prepared, just evidence. Karen opened with procedural language. Due to ongoing conflict with the homeowner. "Let's stick to facts," one board member interrupted. That was new. When my turn came, I stood calmly. "I'm not here to argue," I said. "I'm here to clarify events." I played the video. The locked gate, her demand for an apology, the sheriff explaining the law. No commentary needed. You could feel the room shift. Next, I displayed the bylaws on screen, highlighted sections regarding access rights, then the demand letter, then her community email. Board members exchanged looks. One asked quietly, "Did we authorize gate restriction?" Silence. The security supervisor, invited as witness, confirmed he acted under her direct instruction. That was the moment. Authority separated from process. A motion was raised to suspend Karen pending investigation for breach of fiduciary duty. It passed. An independent review followed over the next month. Findings included unauthorized enforcement action, improper fines, misuse of HOA funds for legal posturing, defamation in community communications. Her removal became permanent. The HOA's insurance carrier settled my legal costs. A formal written apology, drafted by counsel, not her, was delivered. Policy revisions were implemented requiring full board vote for any access restrictions. The guards were retrained under clarified protocol.
Neighbors stopped me in passing. "We didn't know. I'm sorry that happened. I didn't ask for support. I didn't need it." Control had been restored, not through retaliation, but through record. A few weeks later, I was back in my workshop. Welder humming, steel glowing, measurements steady. The gate slides open automatically now. No guards, no delays. I don't think about Karen much, but I keep the cameras running, because authority is only legitimate when it follows the rules, and the quietest way to defeat abuse is to document it until it collapses under its own weight.